This is not the episode I planned to make for this week's podcast, but life gave me lemons and I decided to make lemonade. I'm going to share with you what went wrong, how I solved the problem, and what I learned from doing it. Hi, my name's Paul from Studio Centrale, and this is the Humble Creative Podcast. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the lemons. I was trying to record this podcast episode yesterday. I had a plan, in my mind at least. I didn't really have a written plan on what I wanted to talk about. And things just went terribly wrong from start to finish. The first recording that I did of the entire episode from start to finish was probably fairly good, except for the fact that the mic I was using didn't connect with the receiver on top of the camera, and there was absolutely no audio. So that was a letdown. So I had to record the episode again, which I endeavored to do, but I haven't been feeling well recently, and I just found that I was talking very slowly with lots of dead air between words. That's a slight exaggeration, but it's not far from the truth. I took the video, I did the editing, I took out all the dead air, and I had something that maybe I could use, but it just felt as if it wasn't right. The video looked very janky, so I don't know if you've ever had to do this yourself, but if you are editing a video and you have a lot of dead air or etc. that you want to take out from a video like this, every little change in head position starts to become a flashing pattern in a way. I almost uploaded the video anyways, but then I told myself to take a step back and just think about this a little bit more. It would have been ironic to upload that video because the video was about my take on social media gurus on YouTube who tell people, oh, if you're just starting out, just post and post and post. You should post a lot. It's quantity over quality when you're first starting out, and just trust that you will get better as you go along. I had a few problems with that advice, and I really wanted to make a video about it, but in fact, the video was not up to a standard where I felt comfortable sharing it. So I stepped to the brink. I almost followed the very advice that I was arguing against, and I stopped myself in time. So those are the lemons. How did I solve this problem? How did I make lemonade? That's what I want to talk about next. So I had a video that didn't really meet my standards. The question was what to do. Well, as I mentioned, the first choice would have been to simply post it anyways, with the belief that, well, people would forgive me for having a hard time making this video, and that's probably going to be okay. But as I said, I didn't really feel comfortable doing this. It wasn't something that I was willing to share. And I think one of the most important things about having a creative life and being creative is you have the final decision on whether or not you share something. And that decision comes down to whether or not you feel comfortable letting other people in on what you've created. Another possibility was simply not to post anything. And in some ways I would be fine with that, but I really believe in having accountability. And one of the things that I wanted for this podcast when I decided to broaden the scope of my channel was to post once a week consistently. So I decided to pivot. How was I going to make lemonade from these lemons? That meant learning and then solving the problem. So first, the learning. I reviewed the video that I had made and identified the weaknesses that I saw in that video. And of course, the first were the technical issues, which I've already talked about. And then I felt that the topic was not very well considered. It was too fresh. I had seen a video, it had set me off, I wanted to respond to it, and I just hadn't really sat with that idea long enough to make a very considered approach to responding to what I saw as the deficiencies in the advice of quantity over quality for posting to YouTube. What followed from that, of course, was I wasn't very well prepared. I didn't have an outline, much less a script. I don't generally use a script, but I usually have an outline for making a video. I just decided to go for it. That didn't turn out too well, did it? I was too tired mentally to be able to string words together. That's got to be a red flag, right? When I tried to do the presentation, I was just too low in energy, so it came across as slightly boring, to be honest with you, maybe really boring and sleep-inducing. And I began to question, was I out of practice? For me, making a video like this shouldn't be a big deal, at least at this point in the process. I had been a university professor for 40 years. I gave up to 100 lectures each year that I was a professor. I had a lot of experience in doing presentations. I gave research seminars as well. I also had a lot of experience in preparing materials in order to give a presentation. So it seemed as if maybe I was out of practice. What I decided to do at that point was what became the next step of the learning process, and that was to look back at the earliest videos I made for this channel because they were all talking head videos. So I went back and I looked at those and I confirmed a couple of things. In those videos made about a year and a half ago, I was able to speak extemporaneously like this. I worked from a script. I was able to speak with a good flow. I had good energy in my presentation. I really enjoyed watching those videos again, which for me is an indication that they were of a standard that I was comfortable sharing, and that was why I shared those videos. So I needed to be able to get back to that as part of the making lemonade out of these lemons. It wasn't an accident that I was able to make those videos with those positive aspects at that time. First of all, I'd only been retired for about a year, so I still was retaining muscle memory, if you will, of giving lectures and presentations year after year as a professor. The other thing that fed into this was I spent about 2 to 3 months before I ever posted a video to YouTube practicing, because frankly, I was not convinced that I could do talking head videos. I always hated to have my picture taken from the time I was a kid to this now age 70. And I just thought this is not going to be that great. So I practiced. I decided, well, I'll practice and we'll see. Can I get over this barrier? And I did eventually, but I will admit that the first few practice videos were really hard to watch for me. But I persevered, and I got to a point where I was reasonably comfortable with how I was performing to the camera and also what my reaction was when I watched the videos back. I'm actually happy now that I have those videos. It was clear to me that ideally I would have done a number of practice videos before starting the podcast, but I really wanted to start it, and I did start it. And I decided to make this video because I thought I want to share my learning process, my struggle with this issue of getting lemons when I was trying to do something to a deadline. I thought you might find it interesting to see what process I used to get over that hump and actually make something that I could post on the weekly basis that I wanted to be posting videos. So what are the takeaways from this? I just want to leave you with a few thoughts. The lemons that appeared in my creative life this week were a wake-up call. They were a wake-up call telling me that I really need to get a bit more practice in between recording the actual episodes for the podcast. And I need to put systems in place so that I'm well prepared before I start the process of making a video each week on a specific topic. I needed that lesson. There's no question about it. And so in the end, I'm glad that I got it. And I'm glad that I found a solution and I'm making this video and I'm sharing this with you. Now I'm curious, how have you dealt with the lemons that have appeared in your creative life? Please leave a comment and share your experience. I would love to learn from it. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. It means a great deal to me that people are watching these videos. I hope you have a good week. I hope to see you at the next video.